And then something that I'm guilty of a lot, and hopefully people that know us don't judge us too harshly, because it's not like we can cover all of our nooks and crannies in a relationship. But tonight we are having date night. We try to have a date night like pretty much every Friday night is when it usually falls down, and we usually kind of watch Supernatural or something else. But tonight we thought we'd do something different. We thought we'd film, because it's really hard to find time to film when you have two crazy boys. And so we thought we'd also bring up random topics potentially, or stick to one if we can. And that topic is about marriage. You may or may not know. I keep talking with this French fry like I'm Harry Potter. I'm like about to put a spell on somebody. So we've been married for almost 10 years come this June. And we have learned some things along the way. Do we still want to strangle each other sometimes? Yeah. Okay. Some days more than others. But we have also learned other ways to do better than just survive, but thrive, I guess you could say.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would say within the time being married, or in our marriage, that we learn each other's strengths and weaknesses, and it's important to communicate and all that stuff. Over the time, we also both learn in an argument what buttons to push, or what way to bring any conversation, whether good or bad, in a direction to make it better for both of us. That's a big bite, yo.
I don't push no buttons. That's you.
Change or do better. Sorry. Woo.
Have you even eaten anything to be burping?
I have. I've been eating fries all the time you're talking. Man, you got juice all over your face.
I just kind of appreciate that you're talking so much. It's allowing me to eat more.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like I have a lot to say on the things when it comes to a disagreement or like in an argument.
No.
And I think either way it can be brought out positive or negative. Dragging on into like the next day or 2 years later, you know.
Which one? The one you ate or one I ate?
Yeah, I can barely hear myself.
So to add to that, I would say, you know, the communication is key, is very truthful. I think that is important, and sometimes your communication styles differ. Daniel is very much kind of a couple of words and sometimes shuts down, and I'm definitely somebody who feels like I need to talk it out to get to a resolution, and I want to get to a resolution like then and there, and that's not always doable, and that's really frustrating. So I think we each experience our frustrations in our own way, and it's just about circling back. I want to relive the first bite. Like I just wanted to bite it, I want to relive it. But it's about circling back and, you know, being able to come together and find that foundation again. And that foundation is going to look different for everybody, right? I would say one of the biggest things that I have found that it helps kind of cultivate a healthy relationship or marriage, partnership, however you want to call it, is to have full transparency. And whether that be about finances, and for some kind of background on this, like our finances are joint. I understand there's going to be people that doesn't apply to, but for us, our finances are joint, and so being like financially transparent and on the same page, sometimes easier said than done, but is really, really important, not just for like your marital health, but like literally your mental health, because you're fighting about all that all the time, then that can get really exhausting. So whether you're male or female, if you're not on the financial bandwagon of either getting out of debt or just literally thriving instead of just surviving paycheck to paycheck, and I get that there are circumstances where that's just what it is. We've been in seasons of life like that.
I feel like I in my life trust her. Like I 100% trust her. And there's times when we can bump heads on some things, yeah. But that doesn't say like, oh, I don't like you anymore, or I don't think this is gonna go a certain way. But I fully 100% trust her. And if she's like comes to me with something that we need to discuss or talk about, and I'm like, you know what? I really don't want to talk about this right now. But I feel like in the moment, that's how I personally feel. But I know that she's coming with me something to me concerning or on her mind that's important. That I'm like, okay, let me hear it out, even though I inside just don't feel like it. But in that moment when I do listen to her, I'm hearing her thoughts. I'm hearing her everything that she's saying. And with that, I know she's like, oh man, he's engaged. Oh my gosh. I know she doesn't say that.
It's sexy.
You know?
But that kind of leads into the next thing, is strengths, right? We each have our strengths. For a long time when we first got married, and even before we first got married, you know, we were counseled and taught that, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, because this sometimes works for certain households, and that's okay. But we were taught that, like, men should be the leader, that they should be, like, the provider, they should be the financial guru. I don't even know the right word to say, but
Guru.
but they, you know, we were taught that by multiple people. And again, it's not hating on anybody, but it just took us several years to figure out for ourselves what works and what doesn't. And trying to fit ourselves into these, like, cookie cutter scenarios just didn't work. You know, like, he was trying to be the main provider and the financial, you know, basically the financial person who's paying the bills and doing things. And it's not his forte. I mean, he literally gets bored looking at it. I get bored looking at it, but my brain doesn't, like, shut down the same way. Like, it wants to shut down, but it won't, because it's like, responsibility, gotta do it. And so I just get it done. And so it's helpful when he is engaged. And, you know, part of his strength is keeping me level, right? Because I'm a little more high-strung. I'm more serious. I mean, I can be silly, but I'm more serious. And so, for those of you who know me, you know I'm really silly.
Especially ones from, like, college and high school and before that. But, you know, anyway.
Daniel keeps me pretty level-headed, and sometimes lets me know, like, it's okay, like, we're gonna get through this. Sometimes I don't believe it, but I try to believe it just because, you know, it feels nice to believe, like, okay, we're gonna get through this, like, you know, financial situation. So anyhow, that would be something that I would point out, and then something that I'm guilty of a lot, and hopefully people that know us don't judge us too harshly, because it's not like we can cover all of our nooks and crannies in a relationship, but I would just say that from the start of our marriage, divorce really hasn't been an option. Or I shouldn't say an option, it's not been something that we consider as an option. We know it's an option and very viable for some people and very needed for some people, but for us, it's not something that we've really viewed as an option. But I sure tell you, when you're pissed off, when you bring it up, and Daniel and I both have done it, me more so than him, but I'd really recommend, unless you really mean it, to not bring up divorce when you're in an argument, to say, like, well, if we can't do this, then we need to get divorced. Because sometimes you feel like everything's adding up and you say it, and part of you means it, but then part of you doesn't. And so you have to be, if you're going to bring it up, be fully committed to the idea, and if you're not, just, it's better to say nothing. Will you do that perfectly every time? Maybe, maybe not. I can't say. I know that him and I, you know, Daniel and I, we don't do that perfectly, but it's something we're aware of and that we're trying to work on. Because we really do. We sometimes go at it. We do. Sometimes it's in the car and you just, like, open the door and you just, like, roll out because...
Eject button.
Yeah. Okay, he wants to press the eject button. I'm trying to eject myself. You know, it can just be frustrating. And I would say, more to the point, is if that is a conversation you need to have, it needs to be under circumstances where you guys aren't arguing. Man, you are, like, really... I mean, I chew loud, but you're, like, wiping yourself really loudly. You're just, like...
What?
Yeah, you're, like scraping off your skin with a napkin. That's what it sounds like to me. But anyhow, you know, bringing it up only if it's appropriate. Otherwise, like I said, it's better not to mention it. And if you do mention it, like I said, better when you guys are cooled down and not in the heat of an argument. And I think that goes with almost anything. Better to wait till the heat of the argument is resolved before bringing up serious topics. Now, could you re-argue over something again? Probably. But better to start afresh if you can. And I feel like those are some of the main points. I mean, There's a lot of things you could say about marriage and being married for
One
almost
thing
10
too,
years.
I think it's important to just be yourself and not pretend in the beginning stages of connecting or
What
going
you
out.
about to say?
No, I just think like I
But
feel
you
like
about to call me out for being hairy and stinky.
not at all, but you just did it.
Well, I had a feeling that you were gonna go that way
No,
anyway.
I'm just saying. I know there's times where Regina would be she doesn't say it, but like don't embarrass me, basically.
What?
Like,
Just now?
sorry, whoa.
That wasn't
Like, don't be so weird, you know? Or I don't know.
me?
I feel like in the beginning, like I feel like I've had a.
You thought I said you were weird?
Oh my gosh, stop it.
Wait, were you saying I thought you were weird?
No, I felt like in the beginning, like I just really couldn't express myself. I always felt like
Because of me?
no, like in the community and in the college that we're at and the things that we're involved in. I just felt like I couldn't. I don't want to say like, be as crazy or hyper, but like I really felt like I had to walk this thin line of expressiveness to. I just felt like I couldn't be myself really until moving out to Colorado and living life here. Really, that I felt more enjoyable, more comfortable, more freeing, basically to me.
Yeah, you said that
Not
before.
to say that I'm like completely weird. I don't run around with my underwear on my head, butt naked down the street
But he runs around naked in the house sometimes.
with underwear on my head.
And I have to be like, Daniel, the curtains are open. Because we don't live on acreage or anything. Anyway, I'm sure there's people out there that can relate to, male and female.
Well, I'm
but
saying I think it's important to be yourselves and not have like something down the road where you're hiding anything really, or hiding something that you feel can negatively impact the relationship, or think otherwise of the relationship you're gonna be in. I think if you're gonna be weird, be weird. If they're gonna know it, oh well. She knows I'm just weird sometimes, or I could just be I'm not weird per se. I mean,
What's the song that you sang for me? Because I feel like you're setting the stage that you're so weird, and I mean you are weird now, but I feel like maybe I was so weird I allowed you the space to let your weirdness out. Because what was that song? It's so awkward, this girl next to me, so hairy, so scary, somebody please help me. I mean, you made that song before we were dating.
that was the first day I met you.
It wasn't the first day you
Yeah,
met
it
me.
was.
No, it wasn't.
not the first day. Not the first day.
We
You're
had an
right.
awkward stare the first day we met.
Yeah, we did. It was like
It was really weird.
for like a long time.
I don't think it was a long time. It felt like a long time,
It
but it
felt like
wasn't a long time.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. It wasn't long, but it was
I
this
think
like
it was
awkward
the first
stare.
time we got to hang out with each other.
Was it like Richie's apartment?
I don't know, someone's apartment.
I'm pretty sure it was Richie. Like one of our friends from college. That we hung out. And yeah, he wrote that lovely song about me. But I don't remember if that's the first time we hung out. I don't know. I don't know if I would have felt very wooed by that song if that was the very first time. But it worked out. And we have 2 kids, 2 boys, that are crazy and like so lovable but break everything. Pretty much everything. Just give them enough time. Sometimes it takes like just them looking at it, and then sometimes it takes them a couple days, but they'll break it. Important to note that like you grow together as a couple.
Yeah.
It's really hard to kind of explain that because everybody grows at different paces, but I think you and I have grown a lot in our own ways. But the thing is we're growing together. Like we're not always in the same seasons of life. Sometimes you're going through growing pains, and then other seasons I'm going through growing pains, and it can be really frustrating for one or the other. See, I have my hands under my legs, and instead my head is bobbling around. Instead of talking with my hands, I'm like, but it's just to kind of point out that it's okay to not be the same person you were when you first got married. Yeah, I mean, you'll obviously always have certain traits that are the same, but you don't have to be the same person, and it's just about finding those kind of traits, those new traits and the old traits that you love about that person. And even the things you dislike about that person. Like, it's never, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It's okay to go through seasons where you're like, I don't really like this person right now, because of whatever challenges you're going through. I think those are very natural and normal feelings, and how we handle those are all different. But again, talking about it, I think, is really important, because then you work on it together. That's really what it is. It's like, it's like a school project that we've been assigned together, that we chose together. And
I would have napped. Like, just...
That's what you do now. So this actually is very appropriate.
All bad. What's it do? No.
Yeah. You would have put in input and then been asleep. And I'd been left with the rest of the assignment.
Here's my 2-minute presentation. Out.
Yeah. So if we had to kind of narrow it down or summarize it, I would say that some important points that we've gone over is Daniel mentioned that it's really important to try not to push each other's buttons. And then we also went over how it's important to kind of live out your strengths, and that looks different in every relationship. We have kind of gone over not to say divorce. I'm just checking my notes because I want to make sure I get it all. And offer all, transparency. Offer full transparency is what I should say. So I guess that kind of wraps it up for tonight. I mean, we appreciate you watching. If you've gotten this far, please like and subscribe and ring the bell. Yeah, down below. Do you go down below? Every time I do that, I think my armpit hairs are sticking out.
What?
I'm just thinking my armpit hairs are waving to everybody as I do this.
Whoa.
Do yours?
No.
No, you're right, they don't. So I guess mine, I should be more confident, but women's, no, I can feel it. They're trying to creep out.
Keep them at bay.
What?
Keep them at bay.
Oh, no. They're
Wish I
free.
had a lighter.
I at least wore a bra for everybody.
I didn't wear a bra for anybody. Nor will I wear a bra for anybody.
Oh, you're letting me do it. I just think you're letting me do it now.
Well, I
You're
moved and then I thought to go like this.
Yeah, I was still holding on to it. I stretched it. But, do you think we covered everything we needed to cover?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I want to wave normal because that was a little much. We wave with me? Doesn't mean burp while you're doing it.
Okay. Bye.
I think maybe the next thing should be and not what gross things we do, but our favorites about being married and our not so favorites, because I was talking with a friend recently about favorites versus not favorites about being married.